Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to another Mechabellum gameplay review. I know it's been a while, but I hope that today's game can make up for it. So, what do we have? My opponent decides to go for cost control specialist this game, starting with crawlers and sledgehammers. I don't think this is a particularly strong start, but we'll see how it works out. I get a bunch of cards that I don't really like. I mean, I think supply spec Arclight Steelball can work out if you want to go for something aggressive. Heavy armor it's a decent start. Fang Stormcaller is very strong, but the heavy armor is kind of, well, it's not really worth it as a specialist card, so I actually decide to go for elite spec here. I just have to pick it every now and then, and most of the time I do regret it because, as most people will know, elite spec isn't considered to be that good, but it can have its moments, and it can be nice to try out some different playstyles every now and then. So, I do like my matchup so far. My opponent goes for a relatively standard setup here and decides to pick up some Phoenixes on round 1. I thought he might do something along those lines, but there's very little I can do about it being elite spec. I can only unlock 1 unit on round 1. And I decide to pick up an Arclight because I know that I will struggle with these crawlers if I don't have it. And yeah, I'm just saying, you know, if you buy an air unit, so be it. I will just try and kill every single one of your ground units, and then I will probably pivot into mustangs anyway. If you play elite, there's a couple things that you can go for. Either you play mustang carries, because they really benefit from the level 2 spike. Either you play something like fang carries, because they also do benefit from being level 2 immediately. And often you will have to go for something like rhinos or hackers as your front line. You can't really go for early forts, for instance, because they are simply too expensive. You can only buy them in at level 2, and that is 600 per giant. And that doesn't even include the 200 cost to unlock them. So usually you will have to rely on something like hackers to provide the shielding, or rhinos to tank for your other units if you play elite. Now, my opponent does pick up the first round, and quite handily. Unfortunately, my Stormcallers weren't able to take out the sledges there, so not a great start. I decide to skip. I don't like any of this. These items are okay, but again, I can't afford giants, so nano repair doesn't make much sense. And my opponent goes for heavy hacker. I am not sure about this. Because I can't really buy much big units, and yeah, it's to be expected that I would go for something like mustangs. Now, what I could have done round 1 is not buy any units, and then just buy double level 2 stangs on round 2. That is a line, but you do lose a lot of deployments for it. So here I decide to buy the 1 pack of stangs that I can, and I add another Arclight just to be able to deal with all the chaff. These are leveled, so the cost control sledges shouldn't be the biggest issue. I deal good damage, so as long as I can clear all of this, which... okay, my Arclight does turn, lucky for me. And I have some crawlers getting in there. Sledges are not the best at clearing crawlers early on, and even later on, like, they can be a problem. We'll have to see how this works out. All of my stangs are still alive, but it looks like they will all die, and that means that the phoenixes will remain alive. But all in all, that is a much better round than round 1 was. This is gonna take, let's speed things up here because the round is obviously over. My Stormcallers are trying to get some pity points by getting those towers, but that's all they'll be able to do. Oh, let me just quickly reset this. Orbital picked up for my opponent. It makes sense. Very strong. He can probably hit most of my units here if I don't shield. For me, it can be fine. Deployment is okay, but it's really expensive. With my units being level 2, it's hard for me to invest in many units in a single round, so I don't pick it, and instead I go for the Orbital, try and get some tempo. All of his units are also in the middle, so I would be able to hit everything, potentially. And yeah, let's see how this goes. Opponents already went for some distraction crawlers last round as well. Decides to pick up Mech Rage on his triple pack of sledges. Some extra chaff picked up on the side. Let's see what I decide to do. I can't afford double Mustang packs, unfortunately. Too expensive. These cost 300 a pop, which is a lot still. But as long as I can stabilize, I've got some hit points to give away. Hopefully we can get things going. I leave things until the very last second, it seems. Okay, so we go for more Mustangs. And I run out of time. Yep. 250 left in the bank. Honestly, all things considered, not that terrible. Because the problem you often face with Elite, and one of the reasons why it's considered to be bad, is your level 2 units are really valuable in terms of XP. So your opponent catches up quickly whenever they kill your units, and because you struggle with getting all your deployments down, they will often beat your units in the early rounds and get those levels. So you can't even benefit that much from the level diff, because the gap gets closed real quick because of how the XP works. And so, yeah, here Orbital was better for my opponent, but also I invested less in that round than he did. Super Heavy, not good for me. Wasp Swarm is an idea. Could distract, but I don't really like it. Smoke Bomb might be a good pickup. All of his units are in the middle, so it would slow down all of this. And here you see one of the problems. All of his sledges already leveled, and part of that is because of these level 2 Arclights, level 2 Mustangs. For those of you who don't know, a level 1 pack of, say, an Arclight, at level 1, it gives twice its initial cost, so 200 XP. But if you level it, it gets twice its base XP, so 4 times its initial cost added. So a level 1 Arc would give 200 XP if killed. But a level 2 Arc would give 200 plus 400, so 600 XP. Now that's a massive difference, right? That's basically 1 Arclight at level 2 giving the same as 3 level 1 Arclights. And that's why all of this stuff is leveling so fast. Now, I quite like my amount of chaff clear right now with the Arclights and the Mustangs, and I think to myself, you know what? Let's try and build some hackers. This is what I was talking about, and it's a viable strat with Elite. Hacker Mustang, it used to be a thing in the past. It still can be something, but usually people prefer fortresses. But as I said before, Elite can't really buy fortresses, so hackers are still good. And they also benefit from the level 2 buff, especially when you give them shields. The shields get more XP as the hacker gets more levels. So it's not too terrible. And with my opponent already having sledges, having teched into them, and I expected him to level them as well, I thought, you know what? This could work out for me. Both of us go for the smoke. I managed to block most of it with those shields. That's why I put them down. I thought I had to because, well, I just really thought that if I didn't shield this, I would be losing these rounds very, very hard. Unfortunately for me, the shields will go down, so that's going to be a bit painful. Losing on economy as Elite is not great, so maybe there was a case to be made here that I shouldn't have shielded, but the problem is that if smoke lands, it stays there for another round after, and it's going to be hard for me to play around that, so it's something I decided to do. I really wanted to get the barriers on the hacker last turn, but I didn't have the money for it, and alone this early would just destroy my economy completely. So here I pick up improved firepower control system. My opponent goes for speed spec instead. It makes some sense considering he's trying to close the gap early here with his sledges, and it also will help him to get out of the smoke a bit faster. Looks like we are getting a lot of Stormcallers, added 2 more, and immediately goes for the fire upgrade. Very interesting stuff. Now, the only problem with attacking fire this early, or attacking fire especially into hackers, is that if these hack one of the crawlers, you might get your Stormcallers firing at the hacked crawler, and then your board is littered with flames. And that can really, really be a massive issue. It's the biggest downside often of fire on Stormcallers. They're easy to distract, and if things go wrong, yeah, this is what happens, right? One of the crawlers got hacked, entire volley goes on his side of the board. I do understand the Stormcaller purchase. I think it was good. Stormcallers are really good into especially hackers, and they do well into mustangs if you have enough of them. But here it seems like that tech actually did more harm than good for him. And now I'm starting to get online. Right? Now I'm starting to get some tempo. The rounds are progressing. I'm getting more credits every turn. And I don't have any more problems with the fact that my units are so expensive. I get the benefit now of having them at level 2 immediately. And this is where I decide to go for barrier first. I pick up Missile Strike. My opponent goes for Senior Manufacturing. Let's see what he decides to go for. I pick up more hackers. The reason I went for barrier here is because I really wanted to protect my mustangs as long as possible. I've got some good packs over here. This one especially has the good item, is level 4 and dealing a lot of damage. So I wanted to protect that at all cost. But there is an argument to be made here that I go for range first, because that would just mean I hack his things faster, right? And that might also protect me because it can distract the Stormcallers. And Stormcallers are good against shields, so you can see the arguments here. Opponent goes for underground crawlers as well. Phoenixes have now got range, and I decide to pick up some AM devices because, well, hopefully I can distract with some of these hacked crawlers, but I also hope to take out some of the rockets that do get through, just so that as many of the Mustangs can survive as possible. Hacker shields seem to be doing well, though. I mean, they're still up, most of them, and that means that these Mustangs can do a good job of dealing damage, and it also allows the hackers to hack more units. We've now dealt with all of the frontline sledges, and my Mustangs can have a go at all these Phoenixes. Yeah, fire it just doesn't seem reliable. That's the one issue. Like, Mustangs always seem to find the nooks and crannies that haven't been hit with the incendiary, and they just survive for so long. And once they're leveled, I mean, this pack is leveling again. It's leveling every single turn because it's killing these high-level sledges. It's got a decent amount of HP as well, so it can stand in some flames without dying. Ion Blast available. Yeah, both of us do go for it. Round 7, it's starting to become like the mid to late game now, so purchasing this can be valuable. Also to deal with the shields on my side. It's interesting he decides to put it this way. He could also have tried to destroy 2 of my AMs here. That might have been worth it. I pick up another hacker, and I do go for the range because I think I need it. And my opponent goes for a field maintenance Warfactory. Oh boy, am I going to be able to deal with this? I have got some high-level Mustangs. They're all level 3. This one is level 5. But that's all the damage I have. So I will probably need to hack it. I will probably need to hack it to have any chance at all at winning this round. And also Phoenix production now. And he puts it on the side. Interesting. Actually, he sold his sledges. So we're just going for a pivot now into Stormcaller and Warfactories. This is a viable strategy. The idea is you burn everything or all the chaff. And then your Warfactories can produce stuff at the back that then goes in and kills all of the big stuff that remains. And often you will even see like people trying to beacon stuff behind their tower. Just so that it draws in all of the enemy units into the flames. But we are really making good progress here. Right side completely winning. This hacker has locked on. It took over the job of his fallen brother on the left side. Now we have the tower debuff. Oh boy, now that is mine, and it's producing phoenixes for me as well. That has got to be frustrating. And it also deals the 600 damage as if it were mine. I mean, this is the upside of playing hackers, I guess. If you have elite and you can't have your own giants, just hack them. Just hack them from your opponent. Hackers can level. And that is also, yep, I do decide to go for it. It's very valuable. It just hacks stuff faster. I don't think there's anything I can take here to try and deal with the Warfactory, so I'm just gonna hope that the leveled hackers can pull off some magic and hack stuff again. I get the electromagnetic impact. My opponent does the same. There's a lot of actives here. We have orbital off cooldown. We have smoke off cooldown. I tried to EMP the Warfactory here on the side. He goes for range. I guess he's trying to stay out of the hackers' range for a bit longer. It is a sensible decision. Now let's see if he decides to shield this. Oh, okay. So we have a lone and more Warfactories hitting the board. We'll have to see. I'm gonna need these mustangs to stay alive as long as possible, just to dish out some extra damage. And I pick up more Stormcallers. The reason I do this is I hope I can hack these by dealing some extra damage to them. And I didn't expect my opponent to go for anti-missile tech upgrade because I didn't have any Stormcallers to begin with. And these level 2s are going to deal good damage. It's hard to miss the Storm or the Warfactories. And then with that damage, it should help the hackers to take over the factories. EMP does land on the left side, so this guy will close in fast. Underground crawlers have been dealt with, and now my hacker locks on. And let's have a look at this guy. Locks on as well. And on this side, oh baby. Oh baby. Here we go. 1 is mine, 2 is mine, the 3rd is in the process of being hacked. Look at that range. And the insane thing as well is when you hack those Warfactories, they immediately shoot the enemy turrets with their back cannons, and so you get an instant debuff as well. Wow. I mean, Warfactories are very, very strong in the meta right now, but I guess if they're a problem, just hack them and make them your own. I hope that you found this game entertaining. I sure did when I was playing it. I think it showcases some of the possibilities of where elite spec can work. Again, you have to make use of the slightly cheaper units, and usually you'll have to focus on the 200 cost units, meaning the Mustangs, the Hackers, the Rhinos, and sometimes the Fangs, because Giants are just so expensive and you can't really afford them early on. If the game goes long, you can transition into it, but early on you'll have to make do with the 200 cost units. And I think here it worked out well. I only had a couple leveled pack of Stangs, but they were enough to deal with all of the chaff in the early game. And then the leveled hackers just did all the rest. The thing is, when you go Warfactories, your board doesn't have the most chaff. Yes, he has some underground crawlers, but my leveled Stangs are more than enough to deal with that. And then some of them also die in the fire because of this tech upgrade that he went for. And then once that is gone, everything that I can hack is good to hack. So, yeah. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a comment down below, like the video, and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all my latest content. Be sure to check me out on Twitch if you want to see me play live. And with that being said, I wish you all a very good day, and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.